"I'm here," Sarah sings as she bursts through the doors. The hot, steamy air swallows her up. I can barely see Sarah from across the room, except for her neon green shirt, which I can see very clearly. Sarah smothers her shirt with a boring gray apron and starts working. The apron is the same shade of gray that I see every day after school, the color that I immediately associate with my family's Indian restaurant, Curry Palace. "Ow," I gasp. I look down at my finger and see a bead of blood. I put down my knife and grab a band-aid from under the counter. This isn't the first time I've cut myself while I work. Suddenly, I hear a voice slice through the thick air. "Jasmine, the restaurant's the busiest it's been in months, and you're fooling around. Get back to work immediately." "Sorry, Papa," I hastily say before I get back to cutting and stirring. After the restaurant closes, 20 minutes late, because a party of 18 people took 45 minutes just to decide what to order, our family trudges up the stairs to the apartment above Curry Palace. It's not a huge apartment, just the right size for a family of 4. Sarah follows me into the room that we share and leaps onto her bed, making it even messier than it was before. I roll my eyes at her, and she sticks out her tongue in response. I'm a neat freak, but Sarah couldn't care less about being tidy, and it shows. Our room is clean until about the middle, where all of a sudden there are clothes, books, jewelry, and trash scattered all over. I stopped trying to get her to clean it years ago. I yawn and realize that I'm exhausted, so I quickly brush my teeth and climb into bed. Sarah is already asleep, her chest rising and falling in a steady beat. I breathe in sync with her until the rhythm lulls me into a deep sleep. I wake up and scream. Sarah's hovering over me, her face mere inches from mine. "Ugh," I groan and turn over. "Jasmine, it's 7:30. Wake up!" She shakes me as she moans this last part. I bolt upright, and in 15 minutes I'm running out the door. I wave my arm so that the bus driver waits for me. I'm panting and blushing by the time I drop into a seat next to Sarah. She smirks and turns toward the window. Read Chapter 12 and write down, "The intercom crackles to life, making Mr. James," my English teacher, pause mid-sentence. "Mr. James, please send Jasmine Elia to the office." There's a click and the intercom is silent. Mr. James turns to me and I scurry out the door. I didn't break any rules. I never do, but I'm still nervous. I push open the office door and see Mrs. Clarence, Mr. Wilson, principals of the middle and high schools, and Sarah, all sitting around a circular table. The high school and middle school are side by side, which can be very convenient. Mr. Wilson motions for me to sit down. I look over at Sarah, and as I'm sitting down, and she looks very scared. Mrs. Clarence clears her throat and speaks. "Girls," she pauses to look at Mr. Wilson before continuing, "I'm afraid that we have some difficult news for you." She pauses again before pressing on. "Your father has been in a car crash." Sarah gasps, and my stomach drops. "He will eventually be okay, but he's in the hospital with internal injuries." I feel tears stinging my eyes. I fight back all the tears, except for one, which runs down my cheek before falling onto the wood table. I stare at the little puddle of water, not wanting to make eye contact with anyone. "I'm so sorry about this," Mrs. Clarence says in a worried tone. "Your mother will pick you up in about 20 minutes. You can go back to class and get your things, then return to the office." Sarah is already waiting for me at the door. As we start down the long, badly lit hallway, we join hands. My mother is already there when I come back. Her arms are suddenly around me, tight and firm. I hug her back, then I wait while she hugs Sarah. My mother guides the two of us outside and into the car. Finally, she speaks. "I'm sorry," she whispers, almost crying. I hate it when my mom cries. It makes me feel like there's no hope. She calms down and speaks again. "I know you're both probably very worried, but your father will be okay." This reassures me a little. We sit in silence for the rest of the ride. Before I know it, we're home. Mom tells us to go work in the kitchen. She said it'll help us focus on something else. I work all afternoon. Chop, stir, serve. Chop, stir, serve. It's a continuous cycle. Eventually I slip out, saying that I'm taking a bathroom break, but I go outside and sit down behind the restaurant. I used to love coming back here. It was my secret hideout, the place that I would go for peace and quiet. I stare out through the chain-link fence. If I let my eyes slip out of focus just a tiny bit, the headlights of all the cars blur and look like something out of a magazine or a book. I watch the cars drive by, each one making a whoosh noise as it comes and goes. The cars make me think about my father's accident. I feel bad for him, But I'm also angry at him because my mother has a job as an event photographer, so I've had to take charge of the restaurant. I know how to do this, though, because my father has been teaching me for over 5 years. He plans for me to inherit it. I always say that he should have Sarah do it, but she wants to be an author. Papa says that being an author is even better than running the restaurant. This is a fight-provoking subject between the two of us because I want to go to medical school and be a doctor, though I do love the restaurant. My father does not support the idea of medical school. I sigh and stop thinking about such complicated matters, but I keep thinking, would running the restaurant really be that bad? I must have fallen asleep while sitting there, because the next thing I know, I'm opening my eyes to see Martin, one of our chefs. I spring up in alarm. I look down at my watch. It's 9:28. I've been asleep for almost 2 hours. Jasmine, Martin begins sternly. We were so worried. We didn't know where you'd gone or what you were doing. I cut him off. I'm sorry, Martin, but I'm okay, and I really don't need a lecture right now. Martin smiles at me, but it's a sad, sympathetic smile. You're right. Just please tell us where you're going next time. It's a busy Saturday. My mother's off taking wedding photos, leaving me in charge once again. I work until about 3 when my mother comes in, declares Martin in charge, and tells us that we're going to visit our father. I'm hesitant. Will the restaurant be okay? I push these thoughts aside and climb into our Honda. It's an awkward ride, quiet and tense. When we pull into the hospital parking lot, Sarah grabs my hand. I'm glad that she does this, though I don't want to admit it. I'm very frightened. We walk inside, and Mom talks to the receptionist, a lady who looks like she's in her late 20s. The woman points us down the hallway. We walk in silence. I hold my breath in anticipation. When we get to the right door, Mom pushes it open. I see Papa and let out a long sigh. He looks fine. Sarah's already hugging him, so I wait my turn. Ah, there she is, the curry queen, Papa purrs when he sees me. I grin. He's using my old nickname for me. Hearing it brings back feelings from when I was younger, not wanting to run the restaurant. Those feelings now feel more distant. He embraces me, and then he speaks again. I've heard you've been working hard. I'm so proud of you. So, he says with a sly grin, have you changed your mind about not wanting to run the restaurant? To everyone's surprise, I respond, yes. Was it seeing me that made you change your mind, he asks. Yeah, I say out loud. But now that I really think about it, it all happened the night that I was staring through that fence.